first of all, from a reporting standpoint, people close to LeBron in the immediate aftermath of not only his comments, but Chris Haynes from Bleacher Report had a source piece indicating that LeBron was legitimately thinking about retirement, and then David Meneman from ESPN had an on-record quote from LeBron saying the same thing. So LeBron has clearly chosen for this message to be out there. The people close to him were skeptical that it would actually happen. Felt like you have the raw emotion of a disappointing finish, getting swept for the third time in his career. Excuse me. First time not in the finals. You have another kind of working theory that I did find interesting, and from a human standpoint, I could see, is that Carmelo Anthony retired yesterday officially. And LeBron, as he shared in his press conference, was actually part of the announcement, where it sounds like, with his production company and all that comes with his media wing, that he had actually shot Melo's video.
The way he said it, I was like envisioning LeBron literally like behind the camera, like, yeah, Melo. Yeah. Oh, a little bit to the right, Melo.
I actually wrote it. I wrote it in my column intentionally vague because I didn't have the answer. I don't think he had the camera in his hand, but I had
he was just holding the boom mic. That was all it was. He misled a little bit.
Take 4, Melo.
Well, he's so tall and his arms are so long that he's an elite boom mic holder.
Hey, listen, the boom mic guys, they're usually pretty ripped because it's hard to hold that thing. But LeBron, he's a beast, so I'm sure he'd have no problem. But the idea that you see your friend Carmelo Anthony retire, and by the way, you just got beat by a Nuggets team, and this is something maybe down the road to talk about or write about. A Nuggets team led by a guy, Nikola Jokic, who wears the same number 15 that Melo wore back in the day. That'll make jersey retirement tricky at some point here. And
I know who's getting the 15 in the rafters.
Yeah, but it's gonna make you reflective. You know what I mean? I meant to look it up last night. In fact, if you guys wouldn't mind cheating and looking on the internet, tell me what draft class Calvin Booth was. Real quick, if you could go to the
Katz he's on it.
Okay,
I'm on it.
So the idea was that that Melo's retirement essentially got LeBron at his feels a bit, and I could see that being part of it. Now, the more kind of just the other side of it, I guess, is that LeBron's very calculated. He's always been calculated, and so it did immediately make people wonder what his motive might have been when it comes to the Lakers and their business. So we now know this. This was in my column. The Lakers messaging recently has been that they are not letting Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura get away. They're both restricted free agents. They have a cap on what they can offer Austin, but then once he hits the open market, which I anticipate he will, they have the ability to match whatever comes his way. With Rui, they can match. And they have, identified those two guys as absolute priorities. D'Angelo Russell's negotiations are going to be, I think, more complicated. We'll see where that goes. But it did feel like, in this game where Kyrie Irving is sitting in one corner, and even, and there's no reason to think that these dots are worth connecting, but just for the sake of context, Trae Young was at the game as well. You see these star players, and it's the Lakers, which they traffic at star players. That's what they do. And so that formula, the Anthony Davis to LA, Russell Westbrook to LA formula, is always going to be part of the playbook. And it makes you wonder, is LeBron 100% behind this idea of tying up all of their cap room, and getting things done with guys like Austin and Rui? Because if you go that route, you cannot do Kyrie. So only he knows. It's that time for speculation, but those were some of the kind of the takeaways coming out of the room last night.
Calvin Booth was drafted in 1999.
All right, so 4 years. Calvin, of course, is the head of the Nuggets front office, their GM. He's been in the front office since 2017. And this is a guy that came in the league just 4 years before LeBron. I mean, this man's been doing it a long time, and he's still obviously elite.
You want to hear something incredible? I look, I don't think LeBron's retiring. He's been talking for years about how he wants to play with his son. Like, I don't think that means that his son can't even be in the league for another 2 years. I mean, that means he's been thinking far and ahead. And look, LeBron is still incredible. Like, he's
it's another year though, right? Am I wrong?
It's another year, but then it's another 2 years because he's got to play next year, and then he'd have to play the following year with his son if his son even comes out, and his son would have to come out after his freshman year too. So
I hear you, but real quickly, and I'm apologies for jumping in. Like, I hear you, Fred, but I did kind of feel that idea. Like, it was he's an old dude in the league now, and it was a tough year. They go 2-10 to start the year. They deal with the Westbrook stuff for months. The longer Westbrook has been gone from the Lakers, the more crystallized the narrative has become within their circles that it was exhausting to deal with that component. I have joked with Darvin Ham that it felt like they had 4 seasons this year. So do I think he's going to retire?
You didn't even mention the physical nature of the season, which included a pretty bad foot injury that, like, apparently there was at least suggestions of surgery. So that too. And he just physically, like, the game wears on him much more than it used to.
You know who would never retire right now? The LeBron James of feet would never retire right now. He'd give it a go.
47 minutes. I mean, we got to say 47 minutes and 56 seconds at 38 years old. There was 2 plays that I'm going to remember from this night, if we're wrong and if he does retire. He, with about, I think it was 4 minutes left in the third, something like that. He exploits that annoying little trend where if you let the ball roll in on an inbounds pass, the shot clock doesn't start, the game clock doesn't start, and they let LeBron have his ball as it's rolling down the floor. The Nuggets did not encroach and force him to pick it up. And I timed it. He literally earned himself 15 seconds of rest in real time. And it seemed very real. Like, I'm exhausted. I need 15 seconds. There was another play where he ran to the right corner and just hands on his knees was getting himself a blow on the offensive end. The ball got swung to him. He found Rui Hachimura on the wing for a 3. Rui missed it. And it was one of the many times last night where I found myself going, man, the thought bubble above LeBron at times has got to be like, I swear to God, AD, can you hit the bunny? Rui, can you hit the 3? Like, I'm giving you everything here. And his teammates, didn't really meet that level of competition. So if this is how he goes out, it was a pretty memorable performance.
I am skeptical he will retire because he's so good, because what we're talking about, he remains just so good. But also, to me, the way I read it from the outside is 2 reasons. Number one, he becomes a headline. He likes to be a headline. Like, we all know that. Like, he is a major headline today. But also 2, especially the way he was like, I'll consider it. I just think he's leaving the door open for an ability to use leverage if he needs it this summer, right? If he does not like the plan, this is one way to kind of keep his power play buttons open for him to push.
Very, very Astros Roger Clemens. Remember when Clemens kept saying, I think I'm going to retire, and then he kept coming out of retirement every year, like in the middle of the year, just signing
what Aaron
midway
Rodgers
through.
has been doing in a lot of ways, right?